everyone. Welcome to Meet on Mondays. I'm Christina.
And I'm Joe.
And today, on episode 14, we want to talk about when to work hard and when it counts.
And before we dive into when to work hard and what that looks like and when it counts, let's talk about what it isn't. We don't mean that working hard, by definition, has to feel horribly difficult or it needs to feel like suffering for you to achieve something that's valid. We also don't mean that there aren't times that when things click and things just fall into place, because sometimes that's a thing. But usually those times are a product of you working at it, a product of you making choices and showing up with consistency.
So what we do mean by working hard is investing in yourself, sweating, paying attention, bringing the best version of yourself to whatever you do, just always working at it.
And that is going to look different on some days than others, which is perfectly normal and fine.
So here's the deal. When should we work hard? We should always work hard. And that looks like a few different things.
Number one would be in class. This is every week and every time. This is in classes where you develop your work ethic. Talent aside, you're going to need that. And ultimately, it's not about waiting until you think it counts, because that would be like a doctor waiting to study medicine until they have a patient right in front of them. But in that moment where you actually want those skills, when you want that skill set to draw on and you haven't invested in developing it, it's not going to be there.
Right. Number two is on every gig, big or small, you start by behaving your way to be the dancer that you want to be. So if I'm doing a little, one-time night gig, I want to bring the best version of myself. I want to be on time. I want to treat it like I'm dancing on this huge tour for 60,000 people because I'm practicing to behave my way into the role that I want to attain and into the gig that I want to have ultimately.
And you're training the habits that will become your go-to.
Absolutely.
And that's what will become your normal.
Yeah, you want it to be your everyday. Just when you feel like you're, slacking off a little bit because it's not dancing for that important choreographer that might give you the job, the actual truth of it is someone's always watching you. And
always.
You have to do it from a place that's authentically you. Because you love it, because you want to do it, you bring the best of yourself, not because of the gig that may be or may not be waiting for you there on the other side.
Yeah, and if you're always waiting for that opportunity or waiting for when you think somebody important is going to validate that for you, then you're not actually developing a work ethic. You're training yourself to seek somebody else's approval.
So that reminds me of a story that a student of mine that I taught in another state came to Edge, and she was taking some classes. She had been living here for a few months, and after class, a lady approached her and said, "Hey, I manage this artist, and I'd really love for you, she was watching you at the window, and she'd love for you to dance for her, and, what would you think about that? Would you be interested in doing a tour?" And at this time, she had signed up for college, and it turned out that, she said, "I don't know, I'm not really interested. I started, my college courses, and I kind of want to go through with that, but thank you for asking me." And she goes, "Well, if you reconsider, the artist is, her name is, you might not have heard of her, but her name is Lady Gaga." And she thought, "Who's Lady Gaga?" So she goes home and asks her roommates, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? You turned down an opportunity to dance with Lady Gaga?" So it's just, you never know when it can happen. You never know who's watching, ever.
Nope. And the third thing on this working hard and what it looks like would be, how are you participating? Every time you work with others, it's a chance to work on the way you show up in a cast. Because often as a professional anything, you're going to have a team. So a professional dancer or a professional lawyer, sometimes there'll be a committee or a team or a cast that you have to work with. How do you treat yourself in that? Do you respect what you bring to it? And are you respecting the contributions of others? And that's definitely something that you can work at all the time, because you're not always going to love everybody like a best friend that you have to work with or alongside. But it's about understanding and accepting that and still being able to bring the best version of yourself. And that sometimes takes work.
And then there's number 4. As dancers, I feel like we are the last to think of taking care of ourselves. So let's just use, for example, I have a show to do at 10 a.m. and I'm just going to decide to hang out with my friends and, have a late dinner and watch 3 movies until 4 in the morning. We tend to just
or Netflix.
We're binging
on Netflix.
We're totally watching Netflix till all hours of the morning. One more. So it's in taking care of yourself, in getting enough sleep, in am I drinking enough water? Am I having that whole bag of Doritos with with like a big gulp of soda? I don't know, whatever gave you energy that you needed for that extra, head of class energy. Are you, if you're injured, are you nursing it? Are you doing your rehab? Are you exercising?
So no, we're not advocating the Doritos and the big gulp.
No. But are you feeding yourself good food that fuels you? Are you maintaining your exercise and your stability and your functional training so that you can really be at your best performance level, no matter how big or small the job? It's really important that you take care of yourself, because this is your tool. So
this is it.
Yeah,
this is you. This is your business right here, and not just the night before a gig or a competition or a performance of any description or the other audition. It's not just about treating yourself well just that night before, because your body is listening all the time, and it's storing in the muscles the potential to show up for you. So it's really important that it's about that word consistency, that you've been developing consistency in the habits that you have. What you're putting in is exactly what you're going to get back out.
So I think the bottom line is just take into consideration maybe some of the things we've said. I'm sure there are plenty more points that we could address, what hits home and is important with you in building those habits and being consistent and finding how to bring the best dancer in you out.
And often people wait for that extra hard work and the best version of themselves until that's that big moment when they think it really counts. Who you are in the really big moments is who you've been consistently in all those little ones, because as I said just a moment ago about putting fuel in your body is always paying attention and keeping score of what it needs to really show up, so that when you ask a lot of your body, when you really want to be at 110% and you call that up in yourself, what it goes back to, what it draws from, is everything that you've practiced.
The experience that you've had.
And what we want to say is that hard work that you put in every week is invested in that moment. That the consistency of the choices that you make takes you to that moment. When it counts, always. And the other little thing about all of this is we think we know what those big moments look like, but often the ones that kind of look or masquerade as a small moment can actually sometimes, on the flip side of that door to that small moment, can be something huge waiting for you on the other side. So thinking that we know what an opportunity is going to look like, that we have a set idea of how that's going to show up for us, denies the fact that often they show up looking like something completely different. And will you be ready for it?
So there are our thoughts on when to work hard. Always.
There really is no other answer. The unfortunate truth is there's no other answer.